Good morning students. Let's start with the economics class of plus 2 standard. We were already working with lesson number 6, that is laws of returns and returns to scale. In this chapter you have already done the concept of product, production function, its meaning, short run and long run, types of production function, concepts of product. Under this you have discussed total product, marginal product, average product. Now next we will discuss returns to a factor, that is laws of variable proportions, its meaning, assumptions of the law, reasons for the operation of the law, and relationship between average product, marginal product and total product. After this we will discuss relationship between average product and marginal product, and then relationship between total product and marginal product. After this we will learn about returns to scale, its meaning, increasing returns to scale, constant returns to scale, diminishing returns to scale, and distinction between returns to a variable factor and returns to scale. Today our topic is returns to a factor or laws of variable proportions, its meaning, assumptions of the law, reasons for the operation of the law, relationship between average product, marginal product and total product, and relationship between average product and marginal product, and relationship between total product and marginal product. Now next one is, first of all we will start with introduction. Suppose we want to grow wheat on a piece of land. So when we sow wheat on a piece of land with the help of the various inputs, that is input factor inputs are there, land, labor and seeds are there, that is termed as production of wheat. Similarly, I will take the another example, like in a cloth mill, inputs like labor, capital and threads are transformed into cloth, that is known as production of cloth. So production is the transformation of resources into commodities. Next one is, as we produce physical goods or tangible goods that we can touch and see, like table, scooter, car, and number of other things are there to your surroundings, like fan it is there, curtains are there, bed sheets are there, furniture it is there, doors are there in an economy. And in the same way services are also produced. Which kind of services? Like work done by the carpenter and work done by the mechanic, work done by the teacher, work done by the advocate, work done by the doctor, singer, servants, also called the production in the economy. Next one is, there are different factors of production like land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. And students, all these factor inputs or the factors of production are helpful in the production process. Like land, labor, capital and entrepreneur are the factors of production, and the output of goods depend on the factors of production. Resources that are needed to produce goods and services, these are termed as the factors of production or factor inputs. The relation between the quantity of factors of production and the amount of output are studied under the theory of production. Means how much laborers are required according to the number of machines that are helpful in the production process. Now next is, in this we will learn some important key terms that are related to this topic, that is producer, production, factors of production, total product, average product and marginal product. First one is producer. Let us understand the word producer with the help of an example, that to whom we can call the producer. The person who invests money in a film, factory, mall, shop and anywhere on the house, that is known as the producer. Simply you can take the example, the producer of a film Mughal-e-Azam, Dar, the producer of film Mughal Azam, that is K. Asif is there, Mr. K. Asif, and the producer of picture Dar, that is Mr. Yash Chopra is there, and producer of Sonalika Limited, that is Mr. L.D. Mittal is there. So producer is an economic agent or a unit that acquires different inputs like labor, machines, land, raw material and transportation, and by combining these inputs, that is the factor inputs, the things that are helpful in the production process like land, machines, raw material, labor, building, all these are known as the factor inputs, and these, by combining all these factor inputs, the producer can give the output. So this is called the production process. So in order to acquire inputs, a producer has to pay them or reward them for their services. Like you can say that when they pay the wages to the laborers, that is, that wages are the reward for the laborers, and when they pay rent for the use of a land, interest for the use of capital, and electricity bill payment, it is there, transport cost, it is there, all these are known as the cost of production. Now next one is, what is production? When a carpenter converts wood into a table with the help of different tools like saw, it is there, hammer, it is there, nails are there. So potter creates utility by converting mud into utensils, by keeping the mud on the potter, that is rotate, and then after that you can get the utensil. Then shoemaker converts leather into shoes. All these are the examples of production. So production is an act of, what is production? It is an act of transforming the factors of production into goods and services that are desired for the consumption and investment. Next one is factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, raw material. All these are the examples of factors of production. So factors of production, to which we can call the, that is factor inputs also. So factors of production are inputs that we use in the production process. Like labor, it is helpful in the transforming of raw material into the finished goods. Like with the help of labor, we can transform the leather into shoes, leather into leather bags, then leather belts are there. So we have to make a, suppose, table. So for making a table, what things are required? Naturally, there is a, we want a wood, carpenter, nails, and tools of different types are required. Which tools are there? Like saw, it is there, hammer, it is there. All these things are required, and that is known as factors of production. So with the help of these tools, carpenter and wood, we are able to get a finished good, that is table. Next one is total product or total physical product. Let us understand with the help of the example. Suppose there are 10 units of laborers working in an company, that is Agro Foods Limited, and there are 2 machines producing 1000 packs of tomatoes within a given time period, that is 3 months. So the 1000 packs of the tomato sauce, that is our total product or the total output. So what is the total product or the total output? That refers to the total amount of production that is given by the company during a given period of time. Next is the total product is the total physical output that corresponds to each set of input. That is, we have taken the combination of 10 units of laborers and 2 machines. So physical product means the production or the output that is measured in the physical units of the product. So as the inputs are increased, which inputs are here increased? That is labor. The total product increases accordingly, but the rate of increase in the total product, that depends upon the level of factor employment. means what combination it is benefited to increase the production, whether 2 machines and 10 laborers, or 3 machines or 10 laborers, or 15 laborers and 2 machines. Which combination, that depends upon the producer. He can decide that which one combination it is benefit in the production process. Now next one is average product. To understand the average product, we will continue the previous example, that is 1000 packs of sauce with the 2 machines and 10 units of laborers. Here laborers are our variable input or the variable factor. That are 10 units of labor that are working on the 2 machines, and the production was 1000 units of sauce packets are there. So now here we can calculate the average product by dividing the total output with the variable factors, that is labor. Now total output was 1000 units of sauce packets, and when it was divided by the variable factor, that is labor, we have given 10 units of labor, we will get the 100 units. This units 100, this 100 units means that it is the production by each and every laborer. This is a per unit production. Done. Now next one is, so average product of an input is the total product that is divided by the amount of the variable input that is used in the production process, or that can produce the output. So average product, that is equals to, we are having the formula total product divided by the number of laborers. So average product is the output input ratio of each level of output and the corresponding volume of the product. Now next one is average physical product. Same average product we can call it as average physical product. Of a factor is the total physical product that is divided by the number of units of factors. So it means that per unit output of a variable input, that is equals to the average physical product, it is equals to the total physical product divided by the variable factors. Next is marginal physical product. Now again we will continue the same example, that 10 units of laborers with 2 machines and the production is 1000 units. Now suppose we have increased the variable factor, that is units of labor, from 10 to 11 units, and the machine remains the same as a fixed factor to produce the tomato sauce. Now previously production with the combination of 2 by 10, it was 1000 units of output, but with the combination of 2 by 11, our output it is increased from 1000 units to 1050 units of the sauce. So the marginal product, now what is a marginal product here? That is whatever increment in the output it will be there, that is our marginal physical product. Now let us calculate how much it is. Now the current production it is, that is 1050, and the previous production was 1000. So what is the increment here? 50 units. So this 50 units, this is our additional production with the increase in the variable factors from 10 to 11 units. So this is our marginal physical product. So marginal physical product is a net addition to the total product when one more unit of the variable factor, that is labor, it is employed, and the fixed factor, that is machines, remains the same. So the formula for the marginal physical product, that is marginal product of the nth commodity, it is equals to change in total product divided by the change in the labor. So here delta means change in the total product divided by the change in the variable factor, or you can write this formula as marginal product from the nth commodity, it is equals to the total product from the nth commodity minus total product from the n minus 1 commodity. So marginal physical product, it is same as the marginal product, is the change in the total physical product that is the result of the use of one more or less unit of the variable factor, that is labor, and keeping all the inputs constant inputs means raw material remains the same, transport cost remains the same, entrepreneur remains the same. So this is called the incremental product. Incremental product, here we have calculated 50 more units of the sauce packets, and this measures the rate at which the total product is changing as one factor varies. Here one factor varies, that is labor. Now marginal physical product, it is equals to change in the total physical product divided by the variable factor, that is labor. Next is marginal physical product, it is equals to total physical product from the nth commodity minus total physical product from the n minus 1 commodity. Here you know that MPP is the marginal physical product, TPP it is the total physical product from the nth commodity, and TPP n minus 1 it is the total physical product from the n minus 1 unit of factor input. Now let us discuss all these with the help of an hypothetical table schedule. It is there. First we will take the land as a fixed factor, that is 2 acres only, and the units of labor we will take it as a variable factor. Now on the 2 acre land, when the one laborer was there, the total product was 2 quintal of wheat, and the average product it is also 2 quintal of wheat, and the marginal product also 2 quintal of wheat. As you know that average product it is equals to the total product divided by the unit of laborers. When the total product 2 will be divided by the unit of laborer, our average product will be 2 divided by 1, it is equals to 2, and the marginal product also remains the same as the first unit only there. Now when the labor it will be increased from 1 to 2 units, what happened with this increase in the laborers? Our total product increased from 2 quintal to 5 quintal of wheat, and the average product, that is 5 divided by 2, you will get the 2.5, and the marginal product from the total product current minus previous production. Current production it is 5 and previous production was 2. 5 minus 2 it is equals to 3. So 3 it is our incremental production, increased production or the additional production with the one more unit of laborers. Now when the labor it is increased from 2 to 3, now our total product also increased from 5 to 9, and average product it is 9 divided by the 3 units, that is a variable factor. So it is equals to 3, and the marginal product we will calculate from current total output minus previous total output. 9 minus 5 you will get 4. Then so this 4 it is our additional production with the one more unit of the additional variable factor. So in this way we can calculate the total product. From the total product we can calculate the average product and marginal product. So in the table you can see, as the units of laborers increased, total product first it will be increased, but later on it starts decreasing because of overstaffing. After the 7th unit of laborer, the total product start declining, and at the 7th unit it remains the constant, and the average product will also first it will increase till the 4th unit of labor, and after that it starts declining. That is the output given by each laborer, it start declining. And the marginal product, what happen, it will firstly increase and then start decreasing, and the point will come when the additional output will be 0, and after that it will start negative. In the graph you can see that on the y-axis we have measured production, and on the x-axis we have measured the units of labor. Firstly we will discuss the graph of marginal product. Marginal product, it was at the 1 unit of labor, the marginal product it is 2 points, and when the units of laborers are 2, the marginal product it is 3 points. Here we have marked 3 points. Now next one is in the same way, after this when we will join the points we will get this inverted U-shaped marginal product curve, it is there. Now in the same way for the total product we will mark all the points, and after the joining the points we will get the inverted U-shaped total product curve, and in the same way we will get the average product curve. Next is in the diagram you can see that with the increase in the variable factor, that is labor, from 1, 2, 3, 4, what happened up till 3 units of labor, the total product increases at an increasing rate up to this point. This point is known as the point of inflection. After this point the total product will start increasing but at a diminishing rate up to 6 point. After this it will start falling, that is 7th unit the total product it will be maximum, and after that it will start falling, that is known as the total product. Now next one is when the MP curve, that is the marginal product curve, it meets with the x-axis or goes below it also even, it means that at the intersection point with the x-axis what happen, the marginal product it is equals to 0, and after this marginal product it is negative. Now marginal product curve can be 0 and even negative also, but the AP curve, that is the average product curve, though it is declining, diminishing, but it will never touches the x-axis, as you can see the average product curve in the diagram, because average product it is the per unit production, means the production given by each and every laborer. That's why the average product cannot be 0. When you will go for work you have to give the output at the end of the day. If your output it becomes 0, it means that no work done and no wages are there. So average product can never touches the x-axis or can never be 0. So in other words you can say that marginal product can be 0, means increased output can be 0, but or the additional output can be 0 or negative even, but the average product, that is per unit production, can never be 0 or negative. It can be diminishing, it can be less, total output given by each and every laborer it can be less, but it cannot be 0. Okay. Now next is laws of returns to a factor or the law of variable proportions. Let us understand it with the help of example first. Suppose we are having a piece of land worth 5 hectares and we want to grow wheat on it with the help of the variable factor, say labor. Accordingly, the proportion between the land and labor we have to decide. Suppose firstly we have taken the combination, that is 1 labor and 5 hectare of piece of land, and we get the output with this combination, that is 1000 quintal of wheat. Now what happened if we will increase the combination, that is from 1 labor to 2 laborers, and the piece of land remains the same. Our total output for wheat it will be increased from 1000 quintal of wheat to 1500 quintal of wheat due to the change in the proportion of the factor inputs. There will also be emerge a change in the total output at different rates. So now if the proportion of land and labor it is increased to 3:5, means 3 units of labor and 5 hectare of piece of land, we get the output of 1200 quintal of wheat. It means that overstaffing it is there, and the per unit, means per laborers output it is decreased. So this tendency in the theory of production, this is called the law of variable proportion. Now let us understand with the help of the example the stages of the production. Same piece of land, suppose we are having 2 acres land, and the unit of labor on this 2-acre land, it is going to be increased every time. Now let us see that what is the effect on the total production with the increase in the variable factor, that is land, on the same piece of land. Now first one is when there is a 1 unit of labor, then the total product was only 2 quintal of wheat, and when the same piece of land total labor, that is increased from 1 laborer to 2 laborers, our total product it is increased to 5 quintal of wheat, and with the 3 there is a 9 quintal of wheat, with the 4 laborers there is a 12 quintal of wheat, with the 5 laborers there is a 14 quintal of wheat, and with the 6 laborers there is a 15 quintal of wheat, with the 7 laborers there is a 15 quintal of wheat. Now with the 6 and 7 there is a constant, these terms are constant, means with the 7th unit of labor there is no increase in the total production. It means that per unit production it is decreased. Now with the 8th unit of labor again the total product will be decreased, means overstaffing it is there, due to which the per unit, means by output given by each and every laborer, that is decreased. Now average product, what is the effect on the average product? You can see that average product, firstly it was increased till the 4th unit of laborers, and after that it starts declining. So marginal product also you can see here, that is firstly it is increased till the 3rd unit of labor, and after that it starts falling. Now we will decide that which one is the first stage of production and which one is the second stage of production and which one is the third stage of production. Students, always remember that while deciding about the stages, we have to focus on the average product. Average product means from per unit labor, means from per laborer we can decide their output, that how much output it is given by each and every laborer, that only we can judge from the average product. So stages also decided from this column, that is of average product. So average product, that is the output given by the each and every laborer, it is increased till when the employer will employ 4 units of laborer on the 2-acre piece of land. At this point there is a end of first stage, and this stage it is known as the stage of increasing returns. And after that, if the again overstaffing it is there, or you can say that the employer will employ more and more units of labor, then what will happen? Production given by each and every laborer it will reduced. That will be known as the stage of diminishing returns. And after that, if again the producer will continue to increase the employees, then what will happen? There is a stage of negative returns, means producer will or the employer can pay more cost of production than the profit. Next one is in the laws of returns to a factor or the laws of variable proportions. The behavior of short run production, means short run means a smaller time period, is explained through the laws of returns to a factor. Factor means factors of production like land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. According to this law, as we have seen in the table also, as more and more units of variable factors, that is labor, are combined with the fixed factors, that is 2-acre piece of land we have taken the example. In the beginning you have seen that total output was increasing at an increasing rate, but beyond a certain level, that is after the 4th unit of the laborer employed, it rises at a diminishing rate, and finally what happens? The total output starts declining, and with every increase in the variable input, that is labor. So we will discuss on the behalf of this. We have discussed already in the table also 3 stages of production, that is a stage of increasing returns we have discussed, and stage of diminishing returns and stage of negative returns. Next one is under the stage 1. Firstly, the total output it was increased. With the increase in the units of laborers till the 4th unit of laborer, the output it is increased, done. But at the 3rd point of laborers, 3rd unit of laborer, there is a point of inflection, means the total output was increasing at a increasing rate, and the rate of output that is also greater than the variable factor, that is labor. So total product increasing at an increasing rate up to this point M, and this point M it is known as a point of inflection. And the point of inflection means that till this point the total production will increase at an increasing rate, and after that total production will start declining. Average and marginal product, that is marginal product and average product, they both will also increase in the first stage, and the first stage it is known as the increasing returns. Then in this case, firstly you can see that marginal product it is upper than the or more than the average product. The hump of the marginal product it is above the hump of the average product, and this stage starts from the point of origin where the number of laborers it is increased till 4th unit of laborer, and at the 4th unit of the laborer marginal product and average product will intersect with each other, but the maximum additional output it is at the 3rd unit of laborer, that is at point H. Marginal product, that is the additional production with each and every increase in the variable factor, that is at point H. Only 3 laborers can give us the maximum additional output. This is the maximum point of the marginal product, that is only possible with the employment of 3 units of laborers, that is at point H. Next is average and marginal product also increase, but the marginal product has a positive slope up to point H, and then it starts falling, that is, and reaches to the negative slope also. And the first stage operates till the maximum point of average product, that is with the 4th unit of laborer and the maximum point of the average product, and they intersect with each other, that is MP and AP. Both will intersect with each other. This is the end of the first stage. At the end of this stage, the point of intersection between AP and MP, that is marginal product, and after this point of intersection marginal product will start falling. You can see in the diagram, that is marginal product start falling after the point of intersection, that is T point. Now next one is during this stage, during the first stage, this is your end of the first stage line. Always remember students that intersection point of AP and MP, that is yours end of first stage, and AP at the intersection point, AP is the maximum, that is per unit production by the laborers, that is maximum at this point, and this is the maximum point of AP also. And till this point in the first stage you can see that marginal product it is more than the average product, and this stage it is known as increasing returns. Next is when the units of variable will increase from 1 laborer to 2 laborer, then 3 laborer, then 4 laborer, average product keeps on increasing. You can see in the first stage there is underutilization of resources, means resources are not fully utilized, and producer is working for the least cost of production. Least cost of production means with the every additional unit of the variable factor, total output it is going to be increased. And when the average product it is at maximum at point T, and it is equals to the marginal product also, and then the stage 2 will start, This is the end of the first stage and beginning of the second stage. In the first stage, fixed factors are maximum, that is up to 4th unit of labor, and the variable factors are less fixed factors, and hence the efficiency can be improved by increasing the variable factors, that is labor. In the second stage, this is the area of the second stage. The number of laborers are increased to 5 and the total product during this stage continue to increase, but at a diminishing rate, because AP starts falling, per unit production starts falling. Both average product and marginal product both are falling, and this goes on till up to point 7th unit of labor, employment of 7th unit of labor. Marginal product at this point, this is your marginal product at this point, it is equals to 0. So this is the end of the second stage. Second stage, it is lies between the point K and W. On the TP curve you can see. So the total product increase at a diminishing rate. After the point of inflection, total production starts increasing but at a decreasing rate. That's why this stage it is known as diminishing returns. So at the end of this stage, marginal product it is equals to 0 with the 7th unit of labors. So it is the situation of the constant returns also, means 6th and 7th point of the laborers, the output remains the same. As you have seen in the table, there is only 15 units of output, and this is the diminishing returns to scale. Next one is, in this situation, total product, this is your total product, increases at a constant rate, that is only output remains the same 15, and the marginal product also remains the same, that is constant, and this stage extends from point K and end with the point W, where MP and AP both are in a falling situation, but TP is still rising in the second stage. And the business firms always operate in the second stage, because the reason is this one, that in this stage all the resources are properly utilized and the maximum possible output it is there, and the maximum possible profit are also there to the producers. So the production starts falling. As you can see that average product and marginal product both are falling, but AP falls at a lesser rate than the MP. So now, what is the stage of operation? The question arises, in which stage a producer should operate? A rational producer will always operate in a second stage, because in this stage all the resources are properly utilized and the per unit production it is also up to the mark, and the producer therefore will not stop its production after the 4th unit of labor it is employed. And under all this one, he will operate in the third stage, where the total production start decreasing. From the diagram you can see that total production start decreasing, and marginal product also starts negative, and average product also falling. But you can see one difference here, that average product will not touches the x-axis, and the marginal product it touches the x-axis, and even it is below the x-axis also. The reason is this one, that AP it is a per unit production or output given by the laborers, output given by each and every laborers, and moreover average product it depends upon the ratio of the TP and the variable factor, and the MP it is the output from the additional variable factors. Now if the stages of the variable factor free of cost, any rational producer would not employ it, because it results in a fall in TP, total production it is continuously fall, and the marginal product it is negative here, and the first and third stages are the stages of economic absurdity, means that no one is ready to produce in the first stage and second stage. First stage there are the underutilization of resources, and third stage it is the overutilization of the resources, due to which the profits of the producer can be harmed. So that's why, due to the negativity of the marginal product, this stage it is known as the negative returns. So the rational producer will operate in the second stage only, but when the producer will operate within this stage, he would depends upon the prices of the factors of production, because he has to pay the prices for the use of labor in the form of wages, for the use of land he has to pay the rent, for the use of capital he has to pay the interest, and for the entrepreneur he has to make the payments. So diminishing returns, we have discussed that with the same piece of land, units of labor, if it will be continuously increasing, firstly our total output will increase up to the 6th unit, and after that it will start falling, and the per unit production it will increase till the employment of 4 laborers, and after that per unit production, means by production given by each and every laborer, it will start decreasing. And the marginal product also, it will increase till the 3rd unit of laborers, and after that it will continuously declining, at the 7th unit of the laborer it will be equals to 0. And if the employer will again employ one more laborer, that is the 8th laborer, then the marginal product means additional output can be negative. So the first stage ends with the 4th unit of laborers, and the second stage ends with the 7th unit of the laborers, and the third stage starts from the end of the second stage, that is with the additional unit, 8th unit of the laborer. Now in economics, you know that diminishing returns, also called diminishing marginal returns, refers to how the marginal contribution of a factor of production usually decreases as more and more of factor it is used. Here we have more and more factor used, that is labor. This is we have used more and more. So according to this relationship in a production system, the fixed factors, that is machine, factory size, and the variable inputs, say labor and raw material, beyond some point, each additional unit of the variable input, that is labor, yield smaller and smaller increase in output. So producing one more unit of output costs more and more in variable input, that is wages to the labor. And the law of variable proportions is also called the law of decreasing marginal returns. So the law of diminishing marginal returns means that an increase in some inputs, that is labor, relative to the other fixed factors, that is factory size, will in a given state of technology and cause the output to increase. However, after a certain point, extra output resulting from the same additions of extra inputs, that is labor, will become less and less. Now we will discuss the assumptions of the law. The law of variable proportions is based on the following assumptions. First one is the one factor of production is variable, that is labor we have taken as a variable factor in our discussion, and the other factors are fixed. Which was the fixed factor? That was land. So it is assumed that the production process is such that it allows for different combinations of factors. Like we have taken the different combination of factors in order to get the production. Firstly, we have taken one machine and 2 workers, or one machine and 1 worker, which combination suited to the producer so that he can increase his profit margin. Next one is all units of the variable factors are equally efficient, means skilled labor. So this implies that output does not change because one unit of labor is more efficient than the another. Next assumption is that all units take the same time and efforts to do the job. Means if one worker will get 8 hours for working, and all the workers will get the 8 hours for working. So factors of production are not perfect substitute of each other. means wherever the machines are required, machines will be there, and wherever the laborers are required, laborers will be there. So this means that some amount of all the factor is required for production to take place, means some machines and some laborers. Labor can't be fully replace capital, or capital can't be fully replace labor. Next one, we will discuss reasons for the operation of the law. First one is causes of increasing returns. Full utilization of fixed factors. When we go towards optimum combination of factors, means the combination of land and labor, or the land and machines and labor, which one combination it is, it can give us the maximum level of production. So we get the increasing returns because the underutilized fixed factors like machinery or land or building are better and more fully used. So in other words, factors proportion becomes more suitable for production. Like previously we have discussed that same piece of land, 2-acre land or 5-acre piece of land, it remains the same, but the number of laborers, it will be increased on the same piece of land. Next one is causes of increasing returns. Realization of optimum combination of factors. Among different combinations of factors of production, there is one optimum combination which gives the maximum production with given resources. Which combination was the maximum? That was 4 laborers and a 2-acre piece of land in our example. So moreover, better combination among factors results in increasing returns. Next one is division of labor. The application of more units of the variable factor results in division of labor. That increases the efficiency of the factor, and this helps in getting increasing returns, means proper utilization of resources. Better for the division of labor according to their skill will give you the maximum possible output. Next one is causes of diminishing returns. Optimum capacity. When the optimum combination means maximum possible capacity or the maximum possible output can be possible with which combination of the factors of production, that is a fixed and variable factors. Fixed factor we have taken here land, and a variable factor we have taken here labor. It is reached. Then further increase in the variable factor, that leads to the marginal product to decline. So it is because the fixed factor now becomes inadequate relative to the quantity of variable factor, that is labor. After a certain level, the optimum level and the variable factor can work with the other given inputs, that is fixed factors, only less efficiently. Alternatively, the fixed factors get overutilized. Next one is lack of perfect substitutability between factors. Suppose Mr. John Robinson feels that diminishing returns occur because the factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, are imperfect substitute for one another. For example, more labor can be applied in place of capital, but there is a limit to which one can be substitute for the another, because always we can't substitute machines for labor or labor for machines. So had the variable factor, that is labor, been a perfect substitute of the fixed factors, that is machines, then the inadequacy of the fixed factor could be compensated by employing more of the variable factor. And however, the elasticity of the substitution between factors, it is infinite. So accordingly, returns to the variable factor are bound to decline. Next one is causes behind the negative returns. First one is overcrowding. If we keep on employing the variable factor on a given piece of land, that is a quantity of fixed factor, this will lead to the overcrowding on the fixed factors. Means on the same piece of land, if the number of laborers, it will be going to be increased and increased and increased. What will happen, that per unit output, that is output given by each and every laborer, it will be lesser and lesser. So that is excessive variable factor on a given quantity of fixed factor. So there will be a lower availability of tools and equipments per worker, and moreover if there are too many workers on a given amount of fixed factors, they will come in each other's way and disturb others, and all this lead to a fall in total production. Next is management problem. Causes behind the negative returns, management problem. Use of too much of the variable factors, that is labor, also create the problem of effective management. When there are too many workers, it becomes difficult to manage them. The laborers can avoid work and depend on each other. Next one, we will discuss the relationship between average product, marginal product and total product. In the beginning, both total product, average product and marginal product will increase. As you can see in the diagram, both are increasing, then declining. Declining points are G, A and B point. So MP curve that reaches to the maximum at point A, and the point G, that is the maximum point of TP, also increasing till this point, and F is the point of inflection from which the total production will start falling, means total production will increase but at a decreasing rate. After point F, total product will increase but at a decreasing rate, but MP also starts declining. Point of inflection and the maximum point of marginal product, it is the same, and after this both are start falling. Then the point of inflection is there on the TP, and at that time MP becomes maximum at point A, you can see. As we increase the amount of labor, still amount of labor it is going to be increased, the marginal product rises and the AP also rises. AP and MP in the first stage both are rising, but rising at a lesser rate. TP will rise at a lesser rate. This is happening because between O and A point, O point and A point. This is the point of inflection. The AP curve slopes upward sloping of the average product here, and here is the after the point of inflection upward sloping of the TP curve, and here is the upward sloping of the AP curve. As long as the MP curve is above it, in the first stage on each and every point you can see that MP is above the AP curve. Now it makes no difference whether MP curve itself is sloping upward or downward. The reason behind this is that if an additional worker is to raise the per unit production of all the workers, addition to the total output must be greater than the AP, output of all existing workers. Between A and B point, MP is still falling, but it is above the AP point. When MP falls, it becomes less than the prevailing AP, and later on it starts falling with a greater speed, and the MP it is below the AP curve, and both MP and AP are having inverted U shape, and the slope of AP curve depends upon whether MP is above or below the AP curve. When MP is above the AP curve, this area, the AP curve slopes upward, and when the MP is below the AP curve, the curve slopes downward. So MP and AP are equal at the highest point of AP. When MP it is 0, TP at that time it was maximum. So at OS, this is yes OS, level of employment, total product it is at maximum at point G, and the additional output it is equals to 0 at point S, and after this it becomes negative and its curves goes below x-axis, and TP starts declining at this point. Now questions are there. If a new telecommunications center is set up in an area, how it will affect the producer of mineral water? Answer for this one is that setting up of a telecommunication center will enable the producer of mineral water to communicate with and tap a larger market area. So this will be the advantage for the producer. The advantage, it is known as the external economies of scale, as the demand for the mineral water by the employees of the telecommunication center will be there, and the production will also increase for the mineral water and selling also increased. If an employer, next question is, if an employer is thinking of hiring one additional worker, will he be more concerned with the average product of labor or with the marginal product of labor, and why? Answer for this is that marginal product indicates how much output will rise if the worker is hired, and the employer should be concerned with the marginal product. Employer will always seeking that with the hiring of the additional unit, how much increase in the production it is there. Done. Now next one is question that if the total product curve is a straight line through the origin, what do the average product and marginal product curves look like, and what principle would lead you to expect that the total product curve would never have this shape? Answer for this question is that average and marginal product curve will be coincide with each other, because why the reason is this one, that in the question you can read, if the total product curve is a straight line means total product remains the same, and if the total product will remain the same, it means that average and marginal product also remains the same, and they will coincide with each other. And horizontal lines AP and MP are constant regardless of the amount of input used. So if the law of diminishing marginal returns holds, the total product curve could not have this shape. According to this, the total product curve firstly rising and then constant, and then it will start falling. This is according to the diminishing marginal returns. Our next question is it possible that diminishing marginal returns will set in after the very first unit of labor is employed? What do the average product and marginal product curves look like in this case? Answer for this question that yes, the diminishing marginal returns will set in after the first unit of labor it is employed. As you can see here, AP it is equals to MP for the first unit, and after that AP it is above the MP curve. This is the second stage, you can see. Next question is, if the number of cars in an area goes up so that the authorities begin to charge high parking fees, what name do we give to this phenomenon? Answer is, an increase in the number of cars imposes an additional cost on the car owners, as they have to pay for the parking. This is the external diseconomies of scale. Now let us discuss some numericals. Let the production function of a firm be, it is given, that is Q it is equals to 2L square, that is the units of labor, multiplied by the K square, that is the units of machines. We have to find out the maximum possible output that the firm can produce with 5 units of labor and 2 units of capital. What is the maximum possible output that the firm can produce with 0 unit of labor and 10 units of capital? Here Q it is equals to given, that is 2L square into K square. Here L it is equals to given, that is 5, and K it is 2. So the output will be, put the values 2 5 square multiplied by the 2 square, you will get the 200. If L it is equal to 0 and K it is equals to 10, 1 unit it is 0, so anything multiplied by 0 you will get the total output, that is equals to 0. Our next numerical is, find out the maximum possible output for a firm with 0 unit of labor and 10 units of capital when its production function it is given, that is Q it is equals to 5 units of labor plus 2 units of capital. Now equation it is given and the values of L and K also given. Put these values in the equation, you will get Q it is equals to 5 multiplied by 0 plus 2 multiplied by 10, 5 multiplied by 0, 0 plus 20, and the total output it is equals to 20. Now students, today we have covered the topics returns to a factor or the laws of variable proportions, its meaning, assumptions of the law, reasons for the operation of the law, and the relationship between average product, marginal product and total product, and the relationship between average product and marginal product, and relationship between total product and marginal product. Hope you all have understood the topic. Now it's time to note down the homework. Our first question is define the following terms: average product, marginal product and total product. Second question is explain the three different stages of production with the well labeled diagram. Question number 3 is in which stage of production will the producer prefer to operate and why? Question number 4 is at which point does the first stage end? Tell the position of average product, marginal product and total product at that point also. Question number 5 is discuss the relationship between total product, average product and marginal product with the diagram. Question number 6 is what do you mean by the term point of inflection? Question number 7 is discuss the causes behind increasing returns, diminishing returns and negative returns. And students, please go through the links on the YouTube also for more clarity. Thank you for listening.